February 5th, 2026. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on a 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today in the pre-market. Carryover from yesterday. It kind of went sideways, sold off, bounced, went down a second leg, went to a sideways consolidation, then kind of have like maybe one leg, two legs up, and there's a choppy sideways with a small bias to the downside. So there were some setups, but I called many of them almost trades. I'll go through each one. And I did take one trade, which is profitable. And there was another trade, I think right about here, I thought was like worth taking, but unfortunately I did not take it. Only economic data that came out today was around, actually there's two pieces of economic data, one around 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about this area here, and it was the unemployment claims. And then the second time was around 7 o'clock Pacific Standard, which is about right here, which is the JOLTS Job Openings report. So the pre-market looked like it was just chopping sideways. Looked like it was maybe 2 to 3 legs down, then a reversal up, pretty much a sideways consolidation, then a big drop, sell-off, break of this orange down channel, test low, reverses up, breaks above the EMA, kind of like moves a little bit sideways, but then it's choppy sideways down, kind of moved in what I thought was this shallow down channel, creates the low of day, creates a first entry short pullback. I saw this and I thought this is a possible trade, but it's an almost trade. The main thing holding me back was, okay, it is breaking out of this orange down channel. Break of this green up channel has tested the high. So it's actually a first entry short pullback, second entry short, strong engulfing. Now, it just happened that it touched, but I wasn't 100% sure if this is a decisive break into this orange down channel. It's because the signal bar is this guy, and it confirms with this trigger bar, the second entry short. Now, what would have tilted it in my favor or tilted it in a possible trade range instead of an almost trade is if it didn't stop right at the EMA, if it closed at the low. If I do like that it engulfed this previous bar and closed at the low, then I would know for sure it's moving back into this orange down channel. If you took it, it's a little more aggressive because it does look like it's moving into this, but it just happens that there's the combination of landing right at the EMA and landing at potentially this orange down channel support area that I was looking for lower high confirmation. So I wanted ideally this green candle to come up, touch this EMA, and then close back down. Then I would have taken the lower high. So unfortunately, there was no setup here for me. Then it pushes back up, creates a localized high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long. The second entry long is also another almost trade because it does look like it's two legs down, but I also had it drawn as this potential leg down. So in this case, I'd be buying into this potential resistance area. So I was also looking for a higher low. So looking for a lower high here, higher low here to confirm these two. Unfortunately, it never shows up, pushes up. Now I don't think it's going to come back and test the low of this orange down channel because it looks like things are just reversing back up now. Creates a localized high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, count resets right about here. It's a localized high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. When this candle formed, I do establish this red trend line support, and I do turn it into a channel, but I don't trust the high side of the channel as much as I trust the low side. So it looks pretty good, and then it creates a higher low. So I was trying to take this trade, but I wanted to make sure it successfully broke above this guy because it's a higher low confirming the second entry long. But unfortunately, when I tried to take the trade, it broke above and it kept going, and it moved my profit target before I got my order filled. So since I already moved past it, then I decided I didn't want to take it. By the time it closes, it just becomes an almost trade. So it was a possible trade, but you had to have jumped on it on the engulfing. When prices move up, it starts moving sideways, localized high, first entry long pullback, second entry long, it's a bad signal bar, it's inside bar to this, continues moving sideways, it's potential fail breakout, pushes up to the high side. I think I'm in a potential range. So I was playing, I didn't color this in, but I suppose you could color this guy in to be, let's make him gray. Doesn't hit the high side. Potential fail breakout and a second entry short because it's a new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short break of this green up channel has tested the high. It's coming back down. The reason I call it an almost trade is potentially coming into this EMA and potentially coming into this support line of this gray up channel. Now, previously, it's gone from the low side to the high side of this gray up channel, and this time it's failing to make it. So there's more going for it to go low than it is to go high. But I was looking for a lower high, and coincidentally enough, I do get the lower high right here. But I skipped this lower high because I was waiting for the lower high to close, and by the time it closes at the low of this range. Now I'm thinking, even in real time, I'm thinking a failed breakout on this side should create a corresponding failed breakout on this side, but I wasn't willing to take it when it was already hitting the low of what I think is a possible range. But in this case, it would have worked. Unfortunately, it was an almost trade for me. So it moves down what I think is this red down channel break, tests the low, and as it keeps going, I establish this orange down channel. The orange down channel kind of hits this not triple, but the support area. It's a localized low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. The problem with the second entry short is if you do the count reset, it's really only a first entry short. But I do like that it's rejecting off the EMA, and it's also rejecting off this orange down channel. But it makes it an almost trade is because in real time, am I selling into the support area? Because it's failed to really move successfully down. This low is actually the same as these two lows. So to try to get in a trade, I'd be concerned I'd be hitting the limits of the selling pressure. It could come back up, but right now, yes, it looks like it's coming back down. If you're still playing the red down channel, it's already tested the low, so it could reverse, but it has a few things going for it, but just didn't quite set up for me. So I called an almost trade. Certainly, other people would probably take it as a trade that they're more aggressive. I'm just a little more conservative today. Then prices continue moving sideways. It hits and rides against this resistance side of this orange down channel, but I also notice it's failing to go back down. So when I see this in real time, I'm thinking, is this going to reverse now? Because looking to the left, it has this big strong push down, and it looks like it's stalling right about here. And it's so each time it bounced here and moved back up, comes back down, and it's kind of stalling in this line here. So I'm just wondering, is it about to reverse, or is it going to actually break and test the lows? So I'm not too sure. And since these candles are really tightening up, creating a lot of congestion, all I can do is wait. Creates a second entry short here, so localized low, first entry short. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let me scoot it back. Low, first entry short, second entry short. It's a good second entry short again. I'd be selling into the short area support, so that left me extra cautious. Prices then continue moving down. And as it continues going down, I was thinking, and I kept looking back, got a bit more aggressive, try to ride some of these. Like this one, I definitely was feeling a very, very concerned, or not concerned, but cautious about. This one I also felt kind of cautious about. It's only after seeing them proceed and move down further that I thought I should have taken that. But it's hard to justify that kind of thinking because in real time, I wasn't convinced enough. So I don't really beat myself too much about feeling like I missed the setup. I just chalk it up for experience. And ideally, if I see this again, exact same conditions, maybe I will take it as a more aggressive trade. But at least for now, in real time, I couldn't justify it. Prices move down, starts reversing up, starts moving sideways. You do have second entries in here, but I don't like the second entries because every little tiny push down or tiny push up, you get these big knee-jerk, well, relatively speaking, big candles for the day. So it kind of leaves it like harder to predict if it's going to continue down or not. It just feels a little congested on the bigger time frame, bigger time scale. So moves, I thought it was in this trading range, but then it kind of proceeds downwards. It's a localized low. It's a first entry short pullback. Technically, you have a second entry short that confirms right here, but the signal bar, which is this guy, is an inside bar, so no trade there. Pushes back down to the low side, starts hitting consolidation again. This is just congestion. Even this range is less than 5 points. It's actually, let's see, the high side here to the low side. it's only about like 2 to 3 points. So it's hard to take a trade if I'm going for 6 ticks or even 1 point to try to take something like that. Pushes up in this red up channel. Break, test the high. You do have a second entry long here, but it's a bad signal bar. Then it's a bad signal bar because technically a visual first entry, pullback, second entry, looking for a higher low. You never get it. It comes back down. I established this. It's kind of a light trading range because I think overall prices seem to be moving inside. It's currently gray, but this thing here, I was thinking prices might be in this range, but it was in real time. It's early on to really trust this is a confirmed range right now because it only has two touches to the high side. Arguably just one touch because you could say each of these is a touch, but it's all localized in the same area. So I would really count this as only one firm confirmation area. So I need to see something else down here to confirm that's in the actual range that I can trust. Localized high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long, or just visual first entry pullback, second entry, but it's too far now. There's no real setup. It's just it just gave you a second entry of nothing. It's a localized low. First entry short pullback, second entry short bad signal bar. It is a nice setup though, or it is a setup that unfortunately fails the signal bar test. You have low, first entry short pullback, second entry short. This candle needs to be red for me to trust it. Now I'm looking for a lower high, but you never get that lower high and it just proceeds. Localized high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long, second entry long. This is the signal bar I was waiting for. And by the time this one opens and closes here, it feels like I'd be chasing the trade because it looks like it's two clean legs down. I expect prices to move back up to the high, but after this bar closed, this is an 8-point bar. This is 32 ticks. I'm uncomfortable jumping in on a trade like that. On what I kind of think is an arguably mediocre setup. Plus, this is only the second touch confirmation of this low side of this potential range. If you did extend it all the way over to here, you could argue this is a region of support. But here, I was looking for a higher low. You don't quite get the higher low. It pushes up the high side. There is a triple test, but no setup for it. Pushes back down. Potential small failed breakout. Break, test the low. Then it starts reversing back up. No setups here. Creates a localized high, it's a first entry long, and then it creates another new high, and it just keeps kind of doing that all the way up. Then actually sets up for what I thought is an actual possible trade as opposed to all these almost setups. I think it's an actual decent setup here. Looks like clearly it's a spike in channel. So you're also in a potential range. So this has like 3 key entry points I have counted 3 key entry points. Localized high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. First key entry point, you have a triple test or multiple tests off the bottom of this range. I call it triple test. You have a potential bounce off this this gray up channel. This gray up channel isn't fully trusted yet, but coupled with the EMA bounce, I like it because I didn't really color this in until later, but I did have something drawn. I was actually drawing a little bit more conservatively starting from here. And after this one, I thought, do I have something? Because on the high side, it was more developed from the high side touches because it had one touch, maybe 2 touches, and a third touch here. Go ahead and color it in. So the low side wasn't confirmed before I had the high side confirmed. So I thought, okay, that could be a key entry point. But I also like that it's a decent signal bar with just enough room to scalp out. So I thought it's a possible trade here. Pushes up. By the time it gets here, I think you truly are in this gray up channel. Localized high, it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long failure on this candle here. It is a strong reversal of pretty much like a hammer or inverted hammer down here. The thing is, I was thinking I was potentially in another trading range here that I'd be selling into the low. So breaks, so the corresponding fail breakout to this fail breakout here, fail breakout here. When I see this in real time, I'm thinking it's going to move back into the gray up channel. So that's my expectation. Looking for a setup like a higher low, but it starts to stall. And as it moves down, I established potentially this yellow down channel, reverses back up, which creates and starts moving sideways. There's a failed breakout here, but there's no trade. You could argue for a second entry long here, but it is kind of in this congestion area. So I'm not the biggest fan. You could argue there's a second entry short here, new low, first entry short, second entry short, moving back into range, but this range feels very tight. So I just left it alone. Pushes down. On this yellow down channel actually doesn't fit too well. I'm going to go ahead and recolor back to clear. But it does confirm the high side, but unfortunately those setups come up. New low, so first entry short pullback, second entry short. Second entry short, it's a decent signal bar. EMA could be holding prices down. I was waiting to see what this candle does, so it confirms it, but it's not enough of a reason for me to jump in before this candle closes. By the time this candle closes at the high, by the time this candle closes at the high, it confirms a second entry short, but now you could have a second entry short failure. So there's a possibility this is a failure, even though the EMA could be holding prices, that I just get super cautious and turned off to the idea of trying to go short here. It would have worked, but of course you don't know that in real time. Then it pushes up, break, hits a sideways consolidation. It looks like a visual first entry, pullback, second entry. I saw this as a visual first entry, second entry, because technical count is a first entry, pullback, second entry, third entry. But it actually looks like it's just moving down also on one green down channel. So even if you did see it as a visual first, second entry, you'd be potentially buying into this downward resistance area. So I don't really like that. But when it comes back up and it gives you this higher low, this is admittedly a more aggressive, but this is where I take my first and only trade. I do like that it looks like, okay, so there's prices are, let me just go ahead and, this sell-off looks like it was two legs down. It's moving sideways. It looks like it's trying to make its way back up very choppily. Even on a 10,000 tick chart, it looks kind of choppy, but it did look like it was two legs down sideways. It looks like it's moved one leg. It could be trying to move back a second leg. So that's kind of what I was thinking in context. But then more on the microscopic scale, I saw it as like a visual first entry, second entry confirmation. I like that this signal bar closed the high. It is a little bit of bigger risk, but I thought it's also bouncing off the EMA. I was thinking maybe it's going to come back down and test the low of this green down channel, but this doesn't quite fit as clean as I'd like. So I didn't really give this green down channel as much, I guess, respect as it did. Because, well, in real time, when I first saw the second entry long visual, I thought, okay, maybe it's going to be in play. But in hindsight, thinking about it, I was thinking like, there's a lot of these little ticks above. It could be reversing. And so then I took a little bit of a more aggressive trade, entered at the high of this strong candle, and I was able to get my 6 ticks. And then I moved my break even kind of upwards. And I got stopped out a little early, but it wasn't the cleanest break even stop. I should have kept it one tick above. But even then, I probably would have gotten stopped out on this candle or this candle. So quick scalp or runner management in this one. Here's a localized high break of this orange channel, makes one attempt, makes a second attempt. So this actually sets up for a possible trade. It's coming down, break of the orange down channel needs to test the lowest. One attempt, this is the second attempt. Plus it has two key entry points in addition to that. So staying below the EMA, you know, not the rule, but tendency is after the break, it wants to make two attempts to test the lows. The first attempt, second attempt. That's your first, second entry short, and it's a new high. First entry long pullback, second entry long. Second entry long has failed as a strong engulfing bar. So I thought it's a possible trade with enough room, even if you entered right at the lows or one tick below, for a quick 1-2 point scalp. So it starts pushing down. I drew this yellow down channel, no clean second entries that I particularly like. And it comes all the way back down to here. As a fail breakout on this, it starts reversing. So it's localized low, first entry short, pullback. You get your second entry short here, but you don't really get a second entry short failure on this candle because it's inside. The failure occurs on this one, but by the time this candle prints, it feels so far away from the other key entry points, there's no setup. Moves up what I think is this purple up channel, pushes down, and when it pushes all the way down to here, it's already moved halfway past the whole size of this candle. I'm not necessarily convinced it's going to test the high now. It goes down, breaks, and this one sets up another possible trade that was similar to reasoning as this guy here. So you have this orange down channel, just like you have this orange down channel. It needs to test the low. It's a first attempt down, pullback. Second attempt has an EMA rejection, just like there's an EMA rejection here. This green up channel has broken and tested the high. So this small little correction of this orange one has played out because it's already broken, tested the high. Now this one still has to play out because one attempt down, second attempt down. There's also a first entry long pullback, second entry long failure, new low, first entry short, second entry short. So I thought this was a possible trade. Then it starts moving sideways. It's a new low, first entry short, pullback. Actually, have a second entry short here, but it looks like a visual first entry, second entry, but then you don't get a second entry failure. This could be a fail breakout. So the fail breakout says it might want to move back into this range. So you're thinking going short, but the EMA is right under it and acting as support, plus the follow through candles are just inside bars to this. So it adds a little bit of confusion. Is this really going to go short or is it really going to go long? So they'll set up here. Hits a localized high, pushes down on this orange down channel, break, tests the low, but then it moves sideways. Moves sideways, doesn't quite hit the EMA. First entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but it does feel like it's just floating out in the middle of nowhere. But then you get a higher low here. But the higher low, again, I'm not too attracted to this because, for one thing, it's already entering the last 30 minutes of the day. And this is granted a small candle, but the setup doesn't feel, I don't feel very confident about it because, well, I already actually drew it. This red up channel, I try to make it tighter, but this doesn't quite look right either when I had it here, as I initially did. So break and test the high, but then later I kind of try to encapsulate these guys and incorporate it to see if something else would come out. But as I said, due to the time of day, I wasn't really trying to hunt for another trade, but I was just going to see how this played out. If I kept it as one leg, there's never a test of the high. So very possibly could have been something tighter like this with a break and test of the high. But even then you just be playing off the higher low, potentially first entry long, second entry long, higher low. But again, it just doesn't, I wasn't too clear in my mind of understanding what was going on. So I had to leave it alone. Then it pushes down and it just ends up going into the last 10 minutes, moving sideways. So a few setups. Well, most of them were almost trades, or at least what I considered almost trades. If you're a little more aggressive, some of these parentheses trades that I marked, you might have actually thought they were more actual trades. But speaking strictly for myself and what I felt comfortable with, I only marked, I think, about like 3 trades and I only took one. So hopefully that was helpful.